Here are 50 amazing facts to blow your mind. In 2010, San Diego Comic-Con sold an invisible jet. It was one of Wonder Woman's vehicles, and Mattel intended it as a joke, and the package was just an empty plastic bubble, but the toy ended up being a big hit at the con. They dropped millions of purpose-bred sterile flies from planes every week in Panama from the 1960s until 2022. This was to keep a flesh-eating parasite from getting into the US cattle supply. Bald-faced hornets have a unique defense. They can spray venom from their stinger into the eyes of intruders. CPVT is a heart disorder that puts you at risk of arrhythmia and sudden death if you exercise, are stressed, feeling too emotional, or simply being excited. The primary nuclear reactor design in Canada, the CANDU, is unable to be licensed in America or the EU as they forbid reactors with positive void coefficients. The national bird of Peru is the Andean cock of the rock. Bruno Kastner was one of the most popular actors in Germany's silent film era. His career ended with the advent of sound as audiences discovered he spoke with a stutter. Less than 2 years after his sound film debut, he took his own life at the age of 42. The world's longest regularly scheduled non-stop flight from Singapore to New York City is 17,250 kilometers. It covers so much of the Earth that pilots can opt to fly the return flight westward over the Pacific or eastward over the Atlantic and Europe depending on winds aloft, saving time and fuel. Natalie Holt, the music composer for the Paddington movie and Loki TV show, threw eggs at Simon Cowell to protest his dreadful influence on the music business. She did this when she was performing in the backing orchestra for one of the finalists in Britain's Got Talent. Leaves can be and are used as musical instruments in some countries, with a sound similar to a kazoo. On November 27, 1941, a group of residents in Siskiyou County, California, blocked off US Route 99 armed with hunting rifles and declared independence, proclaiming the formation of the state of Jefferson. Jacobus Elisa Johannes Captain from 1717 to 1747 was a Dutch writer, Calvinist clergyman, and missionary best known for being the first individual of African descent to be ordained as a minister in an established Protestant church, and for his writings on slavery. Actor Chaz Palminteri was fired from his job as a bouncer at a nightclub when he refused entry to a top talent agent who was having a party thrown for him there. This led to him writing the play A Bronx Tale based on his own life for himself to star in as he was not being offered work. The US comic strip character Dennis the Menace was used in Dairy Queen marketing from 1971 to 2001, and the character was dropped because Dairy Queen felt that children could no longer relate to him. White-tailed deer were hunted so much in the 18th and 19th centuries that only 300,000 or so were around by 1900. By 2000, the population had recovered to over 30 million. They were getting busy. The Iranian translator named Zabihollah Mansouri, who on one hand became Iran's most famous translator, but on the other hand became known for liberally adding his own content into translations, to the point of making up entire books. The Las Vegas Sphere, a $2.3 billion project, was initially a random sketch of a dome with a stick figure inside created by NY Knicks owner James Dolan. Its high-resolution 516-foot wide LED screen is the largest in the world. In France, a town called Le Puy has a special type of lentils called green lentils. The lentils were grown in the region for 2,000 years in volcanic soil. They're praised for peppery flavor that retains shape when cooking. Today, these lentils have PDO status. Over 80% of the South Bronx was burned or abandoned between 1970 to 1980. Penguins have knees. Their legs are made up of a femur, knee, tibia, and fibula, much like a human's. Japan has a belly button festival, also known as O Matsuri. It was started in 1969 in Furano City, Hokkaido Prefecture, in the symbolic belly button of the country in an attempt to strengthen bonds through the belly button. Vanity sizing is clothing companies that routinely label their clothes as smaller than they actually are. A labeled waist of 34 inches can vary by as much as 6 inches. This depends on the manufacturer. There's no consistent standard from one company to the next. In the upper floors of a Baroque canal house in Amsterdam's red light district stands Our Lord in the Attic, a hidden Catholic church. Built in an era when Catholics were forced to worship behind closed doors. It's one of the last hidden churches in Amsterdam. Laugh-induced syncope is a rare form of fainting caused by an exaggerated vasovagal response to intense laughter. It was nicknamed Seinfeld syncope after a 62-year-old patient who had multiple episodes of syncope while laughing and watching Seinfeld on television. The Berkeley Mafia were Indonesian economists trained in the US who took key roles under Suharto in the late 1960s. They reversed Sukarno's economic policies, promoted capitalism, and aligned with the US during the Cold War. Earwax can cause a cough. The Summer of the Shark was the summer of 2001, in which news outlets in the US began extensive reporting on shark attacks and didn't stop until the 9/11 attacks. The shark attacks were the third most reported story of the year, despite 2001 seeing fewer attacks than average. Weird, it's almost like the news is trying to keep you in fear all the time, forever and always, because that's what sells. Weird. There are dogs specifically trained to sniff out USB drives and other electric storage mediums. Most notably in the arrest of Jared Fogle, the guy from Subway, for CP. A bubble imploding in a liquid can produces a flash of light when excited by sound. The process is called sonoluminescence. Sam Kinison and Michael Richards, aka Cosmo Kramer from Seinfeld, were originally considered to play Al Bundy in the comedy sitcom Married with Children. The Great Green Wall is an 8,000-kilometer restoration project to fight desertification in Africa. A microscopic inorganic flash of light, also known as a zinc spark, is released by the human egg upon fertilization. 3 famous theater actors died of illness just before they could perform a play written by Stefan Zweig, which caused Zweig to never write a play again. Oregon joined the Union as a free state, not to end slavery, but because its constitution banned black people from settling there altogether. Big Bird's species is debatable. Described as a canary ibis or type of whooping crane by others, he said that he's a golden condor or also a lark. This, while Oscar calls him a turkey, featherface, etc. The second ever DC superhero was Zatara the Magician, introduced in Action Comics 1 in 1938 alongside Superman. Zatara's daughter Zatanna would not be introduced for another 30 years. Australians have a diet trend called kangatarianism that focuses on eating only kangaroo meat for environmental reasons. Poker players used to call an offsuit ace-king an Anna Kournikova. This is for 2 reasons. One is that it's her initials, but also because, much like Anna herself, an offsuit AK looks really good but rarely ever wins. In 1954, during a football or soccer game, over 10,000 people witnessed a purported UFO. An artist aimed to create an exhibit where the public could feed goldfish the freeze-dried body of a death row inmate after his execution. The inmate consented and it sought to critique capital punishment. The exhibit was only canceled when the inmate's sentence was commuted to life in prison. Stevie Nicks sang backup on and inspired Walter Egan's Magnet and Steel. The fortress or prison Chateau d'If, made famous by the Count of Monte Cristo, was a real prison and became a tourist attraction in the years after the book's publication. The E mark that follows stated weights on food packaging doesn't mean estimate, but that it has been packed using the average quantity system. The Potbelly Sandwich Shop began as an antique store in Chicago. To boost foot traffic and sales, the owners began to sell sandwiches and toasted them with the old Potbelly stove in the shop. The 1886 Wallingford shoebox mystery was when the torso of an unidentified man was found in a large wooden box in rural Connecticut. Although the story made news across America, with many theories and tips, neither the victim nor the killer have ever been identified. Pete is the oldest continuing Disney character and not Mickey Mouse. A German ocean liner built in 1930 survived 2 Allied sinkings in World War II. Taken as a British prize, it was renamed HMT Empire Windrush. In 1948, it famously carried a large group of West Indians to the UK. The ship caught fire and sank in 1954, and all but 4 of the 1,498 passengers and crew survived. Mainland Chinese men would roll up their shirts during summer and expose their bellies to the world, resulting in what's called the Beijing Bikini. The movie Heat was a remake of a low-budget movie named LA Takedown. The Sahara Sea is a project which proposes flooding endorheic basins in the Sahara with waters from the Atlantic Ocean or Mediterranean Sea in order to create an inland sea. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Leave a like, it helps me out a lot. And of course a comment if you really feel generous, and subscribe because you won't want to miss the next one.